Hey, everyone. Welcome to Unique Ways with Thomas Gerard, an audio podcast. Got a really great guest on today. He's the founder of HWKN, a New York-based collective of architects, sculptors, social strategists, and innovators dedicated to use architecture to shape a better world. He was honored in Fast Company's rankings of the world's top 10 most innovative architects and in Business Insider's list of top business visionaries. And a Google search reveals that he's the business partner of Rem Koolhaas. Please join me in welcoming Matthias Hollwich. Welcome.
Hey Thomas, hi everyone. How are you?
Are you ready for 20 questions?
I'm ready.
Great. Question one. Tell me a little bit more about yourself. What do you do?
Yeah, so I'm a trained architect. I was born in Germany and went through a very technical type of education. And then I think around 30 years ago, I decided to leave the country for 2 years and never came back. And now in New York City in the last 18 years.
Perfect. Question two. What's a key piece of knowledge that makes you different?
I think what makes me really different is endless curiosity and endlessly seeing opportunities and potential. That means that I can reframe things as questions very easily, so that when sometimes people maybe get stuck or maybe they question things too much, I always find a new opportunity, a new direction, or a new perspective. And in architecture, that's really helpful because with that, you can always look a little bit more ahead and you don't get stuck in old way thinking.
Great. And just a quick note for the audience, if you guys are interested in the big 2025 episodes that have kickstarted the year here, check out the episode with Kareem Rashid, industrial designer. Really great episode. Question three, why this of all things? Why do you do what you do?
I do what I do because very early on, I experienced cities and I must admit I was lucky. I was born in Munich and grew up in Munich, but still saw a lot of bad architecture. And I always had the feeling, why did the people design it this way? It could be so much better. It could invite you more. It could excite you more. It could be much more kind of a facilitator of kind of a social experience. And yeah, by seeing that problem and seeing that not really many people try to do something different, I thought that would be something really good for me to do, to really try to create better environments and better cities and better buildings.
Nice. Some people struggle with number four, but the question is, what does your future look like?
Yeah, so my future looks, hmm, I think there are two different avenues right now. The one thing is 2 years ago, I thought that I'm invincible because I'm a very creative person and I thought that it's irreplaceable. But in the last couple of years now, we experienced how AI has basically taken hold of a lot of tasks that we all thought are very novel to us. And for me, creative thinking and architecture. And the future now holds for me to explore this tool, work with this tool, and see it as a partner. And with that, hopefully actually find new avenues in the way how we design cities and buildings. And this is just the beginning. So the future holds for me an unknown future, but a collaboration with a new technology that society has created.
Nice, I like that. So number five, we say is unique to this show. The question is, let's talk about location. How does the notion of place play into what you do?
Mhm. That's a really an easy question for me because in architecture, everything is about place. And it starts, of course, with the location of a building. But for me, even more important so is that the building, the programming, and all the other things that we can shape with our profession create a location that becomes aspirational for people so that it's not like, oh, this is the address. For example, my office is one Whitehall. In the end, it should be like, oh, this is a place where I met this other person. I experienced these amazing things. That's where I came up with a great idea. And place making as a goal and as a necessity is something that is just absolutely ingrained in the work that we do at my firm.
Great. Um, Number six, if you had to start from the beginning, what advice would you give your former younger self?
I think the best advice would be to, hmm, that's a tough question. I have two answers. The one is actually it's really good to not to know what you're going to do in the end. And later on, you can see all the mistakes you did, but you also were lucky to not know about them because otherwise you would maybe have never done the path
Mm.
chosen. Um, but on the other hand, I think what is very important is that also architecture is a business. And typically architects just are in it with their heart, but it's also very important that it is a business and that also the people who hire architects respect the value that we create. So what I would do very early on, look into the value creation and how a more fairly distribution of the value and equity of the creativity can be distributed between the developers and also the architects.
Nice. What's a day in your life like?
A day in my life is typically that I try to sleep as good as possible, and then getting up early. And then on one day I go to the gym, on the other day I go early to the office. How I get there is ideally with my bike. I love the commute. I don't know why people love to work from home. I actually love to work from the office because the commute gives me a little bit kind of a moment of zen, a little bit thinking, maybe listening to podcasts or to audiobooks. And then the whole day starts. And then I have a whole mix of team meetings, client meetings, design sketching, then sometimes billing, administration. So it's a really rich and varied kind of day. But it feels like from at least 8 o'clock until 6, it's nonstop. It's like high intensity and quite pressure. And then I love to let it all drop. And then it's all about not thinking about work anymore, relaxing with my partner, meeting friends, and basically being without any constraints. And very often, I also love to not have a plan.
Great. Eight is around lifelong learning. It's a popular topic. How do you stay up to date?
Yeah, for me, the resources are vast in the world, and I also love to not be limited to a very strict kind of information or media diet. So I love to jump around between all kind of bits and pieces. But also what for me has become really important that I actually do not believe the first source or the first information. I like to let it kind of percolate. And if it becomes something crucial, then I like to verify.
Mm.
But yeah, I can find my information in conversations with friends, with just browsing, or currently, of course, using a lot of AI, kind of just more creative kind of dialogues with ChatGPT or research dialogues with Perplexity. So these are a lot of kind of different tools and sources that I love to tap into it. So there's not a very kind of very, how would I say, consistent permanence to it. Maybe the only ones that I have in my life already for a very long time is the German magazine is called Der Spiegel and the New York Times.
Great. Nine is more about tools. Do you use both digital and analog tools?
Yes, absolutely. In the office, we, of course, everything goes in the end into digital means with our software like Rhino, Rabbit, and all the AI tools. But then we're also mixing it up with printing out, sketching, model making, and anything in between. And then privately, I actually love to turn off my phone from time to time to not watch any movies, TVs, or anything, and just enjoy nature and feel basically the places and spaces that make our cities so great, or also, of course, nature, just to recalibrate and get in tune with nature when outside in the open.
Nice. We're halfway, number 10. How do you deal with work-life or life-work balance?
Yeah, the work-life balance as an architect is challenging, but then the good thing is, for me, work is not really work. It's actually incredible, inspiring. And with that, when you give me a choice, it's like, oh, here's a movie that we could see, or here is a 2 hour kind of workshop on creating a new building, in New York City or somewhere. Then I would choose actually the workshop, because it's so inspiring, it's interesting, it's dynamic, it's social. It's all the kind of things that I actually really enjoy.
Mm,
So I must say, as an architect, we are in an incredible, amazing position that actually our work is not repetitive and it's not boring. And people who are just bankers, right? Or excuse me to have that just, but bankers, right? They have to deal with numbers and have a lot of kind of different disciplines throughout the day. They maybe need kind of a real life balance. But for me, I feel like the blur is much more interesting, where there's not really a strict boundary between the two.
great. Number 11. If you weren't doing what you do now, what might you be doing?
Great question. I early on, I wanted to be a car designer, but it felt too restrictive and too corporate potentially. But I think if I would have had earlier more kind of creativity and maybe forms of expression, I
Mm.
probably would be a car designer right now at BMW.
What would you not like to do with your career?
Oh, say one more time.
What would you not like to do with your career?
And with the current career, what I would not like to do is to create places that do not create happiness. I think for me, it's really important that the values that I have in my own life and that I wish for everyone else in their lives, are supported by the work that I do. So if somebody would say, build a building, well, build a prison, that would be difficult. Or when it is like a building where we have ideas how it could become socially engaging, and then we would get very clear order to not do this, that would be a moment to walk away. So these are the things where I would not like to get involved in.
Great. And now a favorite word, quote, or sentence.
Say again, the favorite word, book,
A
or
favorite
sentence?
word, quote, or sentence.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Now I do have a second to answer this
Yep.
because there is a fantastic quote which I'll give you in a second. Hold on. I hope we can cut this
Yep.
because it is about the future. I hope I have it here. Oh, it's such a good quote. Well, I mean, I'm going to rephrase it. For me, one of the exciting quotes is that uh, don't predict the future, shape it.
Mm,
Meaning that like we all look into, oh, what is the future going to hold for us? But for me, it's actually quite opposite. It's actually what can I do to create a future that is in line with my wishes and dreams and perspectives.
great. And now a least favorite word, quote, or sentence.
Mhm. Uh, Not possible.
Mm. You're choosing one word to describe yourself. What word do you choose?
Curious.
What keeps you up at night?
Money.
Final stretch here. What's a dream you're chasing?
Mm. I think the dream I'm chasing, it's not really a dream. I think I'm very realistic about the reality that we are here in this world for a very limited time. And I just want to make good use of the time that I have, in terms of what I do for other people, but also what I do for myself in terms of experiences. And I think that is for me a very underlining principle. Experiences are more important than money, right? So that's why I do actually find peace because of if that would be a task that would be overwhelming. Because what we experience in the end, nobody can take away, and that's not so much more worthwhile.
What inspires you?
Actually, almost everything can inspire me. I think negative experiences, when I see a building that I don't approve, it can inspire me to do something different. If I see a building that is extremely exciting, that can inspire me to follow or to maybe apply similar thinking. It could be with people that I see that have different kind of careers that could inspire me to maybe also change maybe something or explore something else. So for me, it's almost unlimited. And I even sometimes have the task, right, when I see something which I don't agree with, then I look at it from a different perspective and say, is there maybe something that can still teach me something or it can inspire me? And it's actually really beautiful. It turns a lot of negative things into something really positive and beautiful.
Hmm. Great. And last couple here, number 19, any advice you'd like to share?
I think my advice is to people to never take yourself as a center of the world. I think for me, it's very important to see ourselves as part of a greater society.
Mhm.
And that sometimes to be a little bit more humble, maybe sometimes to take a little bit off the pressure, can just do something so good for us and also the people around us. And that is also an incredible opportunity then to learn, right? To not always think that we are right. There's so many different opinions. There's so many different versions of people. There are millions, there are billions of differences. And there is literally not one person who is right in the world. Right? You're right in some parts, and other ones you're not. And that's just the nature of humanity. And I think to acknowledge this and also living by it, I think can give us a lot of more understanding, and then with that also much more connection to other people.
Great. And finally, number 20, how can our listeners keep tabs on you and what's our call to action?
Yeah, people can keep tabs on, of course, all the social media things, but mostly I would say Instagram. You can find me under Hollwich. That's Hollwich. Also, when you want to see what we do in our architecture world, you can always check out the website under HWKN.com. And if you want to shoot me an email, you can find the email on the website. It's actually hi@hawken.com. Always happy to hear, happy to respond and engage.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. We broke the glass ceiling here with Yves Behar bringing product design into the show, and now you with architecture. It's a real privilege. Thanks so much for joining.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.